What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's Mitch here of the Bottom Line View for the Monday Night Football recap between the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Falcons take it and survive 24-21 after a missed field goal in the last second by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Atlanta does win this game and does advance until a 10-5 record now, I believe. 10-5. And they are on their way to, or 9-5 maybe. They're on their way to getting a playoff spot. That's just the thing. They're on their way to getting a playoff spot. They're on their way to that wild card spot. And for many Cowboys fans out there, this was a disappointing result as the Bucs had the Falcons on the rope. They had them on the ropes. They were jabbing them, and they couldn't get the knockout punch to go. But the Atlanta Falcons do survive kind of a trap game in Tampa Bay against a big-time NFC South rival. This game was actually more entertaining than I expected it to be overall. It had some good moments. The Buccaneers, especially offensively, had a very good game. And, you know, Jameis Winston probably had the most efficient game that he's had all season. He looked like the Jameis Winston we all thought he was going to be before the season. And hopefully, as a fan of the Bucs and as a person that thought that they had potential going into the season, hopefully they make it happen down the stretch these last couple of games, get some momentum, and hopefully they can carry this over into next season. This has been the best division in football. Almost every single one of these games this year have been entertaining, have been fun to watch, and this game was no exception. John Gruden went into the Ring of Honor. He may even come back to the Tampa Bay Bucs as their head coach next year. Maybe, we'll see. But he went in the Ring of Honor. That was pretty good. There was a fat guy that fell over and knocked his head on something. That was funny. So there was a lot, and there was like a lot of like follies in this game. Like there was the ref fell over and tripped over himself. There was a cameraman who tripped over himself. It seemed like the field had some issues, but there was some entertainment in this Monday Night Football matchup. I want to hear what you guys thought of it in the comment section below. If you enjoy this video and you like what we do here on the Bottom Line View, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe if you're new to the channel and you enjoy NFL content. Let's get into this recap. Later on, we're going to have Kev join us on this recap. And he's going to talk about his Seattle Seahawks. He hasn't had a chance to talk about his Seattle Seahawks, but we're going to get some news from him and his thoughts on what the Seahawks have been doing. But first, let's start off with this game. The Falcons, 24-21 over the Buccaneers. Matt Ryan, 17 for 31, 212, and a touchdown in this game. Was only sacked once. Had an 87 passer rating. Jameis Winston, 27 for 35, 299, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Sacked twice in this game, but had a 130.5 passer rating. I thought Matt Ryan was pretty average. I think this is pretty much what we've been seeing from Matt Ryan all year long. He's been an average quarterback. He has not been the MVP that we've seen last year or even in some of his better seasons. I think this has kind of been a little bit of a down year for Matt Ryan. Despite his team being successful and having a winning record. There's been moments when Matt Ryan makes a lot of nice throws and a lot of nice plays, but then there's other moments like on third down today, he just throws the ball in the dirt with a guy wide open to convert the first down. So Matt Ryan was a little on and off. I did think he had a good game when it came to running the ball, surprisingly. He had 3 carries for 29 yards in this game, all of them, I believe, coming on third down to move the chains, so that was a big game for big time stuff for Matt Ryan in the run game, actually looking a little bit like Kirk Cousins diving headfirst for the first down. Jameis Winston, I thought, had probably the best game I've seen him play all year. Maybe some Bucs fans can back me up or maybe tell me that he played a better game early in the season, but I think this was overall the best game I've seen Jameis Winston play this year. He was mistake-free. He didn't throw any balls that I would really consider dangerous passes. There were no balls that were really almost intercepted or anything like that. He did have that fumble at the end of the first half, but it was recovered by his own team, so there was no turnovers at all for Jameis Winston. He did throw 3 touchdowns. He did throw one deep to Mike Evans. That was a nice play. He also threw one to Adam Humphries and O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard working after the catch for a 30-yard touchdown. And then Humphries later in the game, that was all Winston getting outside the pocket and throwing it to the back of the end zone and wide open receiver. I thought Winston did a really good job outside of the pocket, moving away from pressure and throwing the ball on the run. This is what I like to see from Jameis Winston. This is the talent that I see in Jameis Winston. Only 8 incomplete passes. There was that one stretch where he was like 12 for 12 or something like that. He was playing really, really well early in this game. It just seemed like they couldn't sustain a ton of drives, and their run game wasn't really helping in that regard. Peyton Barber fumbled early in the game when they were driving, which didn't help them. But I thought the Bucs made this a competitive game. They played one of their better games all around that I've seen them play. They played pretty decent defense in this game. They played pretty good offense in this game. And this is the team that we more expected. I definitely didn't expect Tampa Bay to be a 4-win team this year. I thought they would be in the playoffs, as did many, but I thought at least that they would be an average team. Like I thought like their downside I thought was like 7 wins. But it's turned out that this team is kind of their defense hasn't turned out the same way we thought. Jameis Winston hasn't turned out the same way that they've thought. And I felt like some of those players put it together in this game. Then for the Atlanta and Tampa Bay rushing game, Devontae Freeman was ultimately the difference maker in this game for Atlanta. 22 carries, 126 yards, almost 6 yards per carry with 5.7 and a touchdown. He had that 32-yard touchdown where basically nobody touched him. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Peyton Barber carried 13 times for 53 yards, 4 yards a carry. Not a bad game, but I haven't felt like Tampa Bay has had a good run game for 2 years in a row now. Doug Martin's been a disappointment. The Buccaneers offensive line hasn't been able to get enough push, but I think that the overall the running game in this game in particular did an okay job. It did a decent enough job for them to get the win. It's just Atlanta was so potent with their run game, and Tampa Bay couldn't stop them at all. When Freeman needed to run, he ran, and he got it done. Also, Teron Ward stepped up in the place for Coleman, who had 8 carries for 40 yards, 5.0 yards per carry. They averaged as a team 5.7 yards per carry. They had 201 rushing yards in this game. If you're an Atlanta fan, that's what you want to see going forward. If Atlanta is going to be successful in the playoffs, they need to be able to run the football. That's what their offense was based off of with Kyle Shanahan as offensive coordinator. And it will make it a lot easier on Sarkisian calling the plays if they're able to run the ball like they did in this game. And Matt Ryan is overall a more successful passer when he's able to work off of the play action and get outside the pocket like we saw a little bit today. Jameis also had 3 carries for 18 yards as a runner as well. And receiving, Mike Evans had 5 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown, one of those coming on a 42-yard touchdown. He had 8 targets. Cam Brate, 4 catches, 49 yards. Adam Humphries, 5 catches, 43 yards. O.J. Howard, 1 catch and a touchdown for 30 yards. And then for Atlanta, Devontae Freeman, again, 5 receptions, 68 yards. Julio, after having 250 yards in the first matchup, 3 catches, 54 yards in this game. Tampa Bay did a good job on him. And Justin Hardy, 2 catches for 33 yards and a touchdown. Sanu was quiet, 2 catches for 23. Tampa Bay secondary did a lot better job than I thought they would. That's been a weakness for them all year long. And I think that they did a good job in this game. They game planned well. They took away Julio. And I think overall Atlanta has struggled offensively to really find a rhythm in their passing game. Their running game hasn't taken too big of a step back. It's been more their passing game hasn't really been able to be as successful as it was last year. And that's the big reason why this team isn't elite. They're just a good team. You know, they're a good team with some talent, but they're not a team that you're really saying is going to win the Super Bowl at this point in time. Defensively, Quan Alexander, without Levante David there, scooped up all the tackles, 13 tackles for him for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Chris Conte had a nice game with 2 pass deflections and 7 tackles. William Golston had a tackle for loss and 4 tackles. And also TJ Ward had a pass deflection as well as Brent Grimes. I thought Brent Grimes had a nice game here. And I also think that Clinton McDonald had a huge sack in this game later on to really get the ball back for Tampa Bay to enable them to almost win it. For the Falcons, this guy does not get enough recognition, but Deion Jones is one of the best linebackers in the league right now. He's so fast. He's able to chase anybody down. He's good in coverage. He makes aggressive, hard-nosed plays. I'm a big fan of Deion Jones. I think he's been their best player on defense all year, and I think that he should be getting some Pro Bowl votes from you guys. He had 9 tackles, and Robert Alford had 6 tackles in this game, pass deflection. He also had a big pass interference in this game as well. Desmond Trufant had 6 tackles, didn't have his best game. Also, we had Vic Beasley did have a sack in this game, I believe. Adrian Claiborne had half a sack. McKinley had a sack as well. And yeah, other than that, Keanu Neal's a good player. I didn't really notice him a ton. Honestly, I thought Atlanta's defense was lackluster. I've been a fan of Atlanta's defense this year, but I thought this game overall, they pretty much got shredded. Tampa Bay moved the ball pretty much at will. Atlanta did make stops, but they allowed Tampa Bay to basically move the ball every drive. Like, I don't remember Atlanta just stoning them like one time for a 3-and-out or forcing a pick or forcing a fumble. It was just Tampa Bay would kind of screw up, or Tampa Bay would have a penalty that would derail them, or Atlanta's offense would hold on to the ball for so long that Tampa Bay didn't have a chance to really get the ball. So this was an offensive game in my mind. It just, like that Pittsburgh and Patriots game, both teams held the ball for a very long time on every possession. And that's what it came down to, more than the defense is really making plays, in my opinion. So 24-21 for Atlanta. I would say that this was probably Winston's best game I've seen him all year. So for me, he would be the MVP for Tampa Bay. For Atlanta, it has to go to Devontae Freeman. And again, not much else to be said here. Freeman and the Falcons are still in the 6th seed. So basically, if you're a Cowboys fan or a Lions fan, you pretty much need them to lose their last 2 games against the Saints and the Panthers. Those aren't easy games. Both of those are hard games for the Falcons, but they should probably win one if I'm talking realistically here. And the Lions still have to beat a team like Green Bay, and the Cowboys still have to beat a team like Seattle. So if you're one of these teams, if you're a fan of one of these teams, you're looking at this game as a missed opportunity for your team to get another game in here, but they still have a shot. They still have a shot, but if you're an Atlanta fan, you're probably sitting pretty. You just need to take care of business at least once in these next 2 weeks. And the next game, I believe they play the Saints, which is going to be in New Orleans. Which is going to be in Atlanta, I think, right? No, I don't quite remember. What was the Thursday night game played in? It might have been Atlanta. I think it's played in New Orleans. I'm actually going to check the schedule right now because that's a big thing. So Atlanta plays in New Orleans, and that's going to be in one of the morning games on Sunday. So that's a big game for both New Orleans and Atlanta. New Orleans at 10-4, they're looking to, get maybe even a bye, but probably just the 3rd or 4th seed. And they need to stay the division lead. That game could be for the division lead. If you think about it, if Atlanta wins against New Orleans, they take the division lead. New Orleans drops back a game because Atlanta already beat New Orleans. So that's a huge game for the NFC South. Panthers are also sitting there as well, waiting. They play Tampa Bay next week. So the NFC South is going right down to the wire, which has been the best division in football. Overall, this was talking about the Bucs and the Falcons. This was a good game. This was a pretty good game to watch down to the end, and I enjoyed it. So let's get to some comments. We'll see when Mr. Cavola is coming on to rant about his Seahawks. All right. Rob says, what up? Adito says, all I got to say is Skol Aaron Rodgers can suck it. Rob says the Packers are Robinated. Predator says time to sit Rodgers. I would agree with that. Brett Hundley should start the last 2 games, says Rob. I think everybody is on the same. Coach says agree. Predator says I agree. I think everybody wants to see Aaron Rodgers sit out so he can play next year and not get hurt. Adito says, I hope Brett gets sacked 10 times next game. Derek Coach says, good Monday Night Football game, entertaining. Throw the ball to Evans. Yeah, it's been an interesting year for Evans, up and down. Rob says, John Gruden only returns to Tampa if he has GM power. I don't think Gruden is interested in GM power, to be honest with you. I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think he's just a guy that likes to coach. I don't know if he's really a guy that is interested in the GM position. But I would agree that he wants to bring in a guy that will work with him as the GM. You know, every coach, in order to take a spot as the head coach, you want to have confidence in your GM that you're on the same page. And whenever those two guys aren't on the same page, it never works out. Whale Williams says, review Raw. Sorry, man, we don't review Raw anymore. Maybe if it ever gets good again, we will. But I actually did tune in for a little bit. It didn't seem too great tonight. I saw maybe the first segment I liked, and the rest of the show really was kind of boring. Get Slate again, says Stafford City. Predator says, screw the Pro Bowl. Are your pants on or off? My pants are on. Malcolm says, goodbye, Packers. Is these Vikings fans in this chat invading this chat? I'm not quite sure. Let me just ask Kev if he's on his way. Otherwise, I am going to just take some more questions because I don't really have much more to talk about within this game. I do agree. I think this was a good game nonetheless for Tampa Bay to build some confidence. I think this is a good game just for Tampa Bay to look at and say, we fought hard. We almost beat one of our rivals. And I think for Jameis especially, this is a good game to have on his resume this season after a pretty poor season to show that, hey, he's still a franchise guy. He's still a young guy that can develop into a franchise quarterback. A lot of people, including myself at times, have been all over him for his poor play. But let's look at this guy and just say, you know, he's had a poor season. He's still only 24 years old. And they were going over the stats today about 24-year-old quarterbacks. 24-year-old quarterback for quarterbacks, 24 and under. He has the record for passing yards, touchdowns. So he's playing pretty well for a young quarterback because you have to remember this guy came out in like his second season out of college. He passed Drew Bledsoe, I believe, for the yardage total in this game. So yeah, looking at his numbers for the season, he hasn't had a great season, but an 89 passer rating, 2,400 yards. He's been hurt a lot too. 14 touchdowns, and what's his other? 14 touchdowns. It doesn't show it. Where is it? 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I'm not sure if that was before this game or after this game, but last year he was good. He had 28 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. That's still too many interceptions. Season 1, he had 22 to 15. So if he finishes with like 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, you're looking at a season that he probably always has. They just didn't progress as a team. He's only played 10 games this year. And I would say he's playing better than Marcus Mariota, so I can say that much. Did Chris Conte play well? Yeah, I thought Chris Conte did have a good game. He did have that really nice breakup in the back of the end zone near the end of the game as well. John Gruden was all over that. Don't sleep on Atlanta, says Rob. Rob, who's your team? I always forget who your team is, Rob. Coach says power rank the NFC. I would definitely have the Vikings number 1. And then after that, it's pretty much a toss-up. You could look at the conference and you could say, I would say that the Saints would be second for me as a team that I think, you know, you could maybe put the Rams second. It's between the Saints and the Rams. They're in second and third. Honestly, I would have the Panthers ahead of the Eagles too. And then I'd have the Eagles 5th and probably the Falcons 6th and then probably the Cowboys 7th. And Lions and Seahawks probably tied. I don't know really what to make of those two teams. So I would have the Vikings first as the favorite to go to the Super Bowl. Then second would probably, I'll give it to the Rams because they beat the Saints. So I'll give it to the Rams second. Then I'll go Saints third. 4th would be the Panthers. 5th would be the Eagles. And 6th would be the Falcons. And then 7th would be the Cowboys. So that would be my power ranking. For the AFC, it would be Patriots, Steelers by a little bit over the Jaguars. And then Jaguars, fourth would be, that's tough. I guess it would have to be the Chiefs. Fourth. Fifth, I think, is the Chargers, even though they're not in the playoffs right now. I'd have fifth, the Chargers. Sixth, I'd have the Ravens. Seventh, I'd have the Titans. Eighth, I'd have the Bills for the teams that can still compete for a playoff spot. So that would be my playoff rankings. Do you think the Falcons are one and done in the playoffs? It depends on the opponent. The thing about the Falcons is I feel like they could rather make a run or they could be one and done. They're one of those teams that is very hot and cold. I think the way that this team's been looking on offense all year long, they're more likely to be one and done than they are to make a run because their offense hasn't been good enough to really complement this defense. This defense isn't like a defense that's going to completely take over a game and win it for you. It's a good complementary defense for an offense that's supposed to be one of the best in the league. But it's not a defense that's going to like shut down an opponent. So I would say that Atlanta, considering right now that they're the 6th seed, they would have to play the Saints or the Rams. And I would say that they'd probably lose that matchup considering that they would have to play on the road. But then again, they're playing two teams that are offensive, so they would have a chance in that game, in my opinion. Especially against the Saints where it's a divisional opponent and that could go any way possible. Tampa Bay will not be attractive coaching vacancy. I actually think that John Gruden's going to make his way back to Tampa Bay. I just have this feeling. Predator says you need to get Mitchell Trubisky on your channel and you can call your show Mitch and Mitch. Well, that would be great. I'm a fan of Trubisky. So if you guys can hit up Mitch Trubisky to get on this channel, then I'm down for that. Tyler says, why would Tampa not be attractive? They got a young quarterback, 2 young tight ends, and have Mike Evans. They have a couple good players on defense. Yeah, I definitely think, Jarrell McCoy, Levante David, Quan Alexander, they have some pieces on defense. They need to fix that secondary. They need to get a pass rusher. And then you're looking at a team that's set up. They need a better offensive line. They probably need a running back. But if you can work out the kinks with Jameis and have a coach that can work with his talents, then I think you're looking at a team that has a bright future. I think if you're a coach I think that's one of the best vacancies. I think the Colts, if they let go of Pagano, would be a good vacancy. I think that the one of the worst would be the Giants because they don't have a quarterback. I think the Redskins, if they let go of Gruden, would be a nice vacancy, depending on if you get Kirk Cousins back. I think that thinking about it, who's going to get fired? The Bengals isn't a bad one. Who else? The Browns, is Hugh Jackson still going to be there? That's probably not a great one because it's the Browns, but I don't know. I think, honestly, I'm not sure what's happening with Detroit. I don't think that they're going to let go of Caldwell, but I feel like that would be a great place to go. Who else is a vacancy? I'm trying to think about. The Bears. Bears is a good one. Especially me and Kev have been talking about the Bears all year, and the Bears are set up because they have a talented defense. They have a lot of good players in the front 7 that are signed, are at a good age. They need to get like one or two more corners, and offensively they need another receiver. But you have Cam Meredith coming back. You have 2 good running backs. You have Trubisky. The offensive line is pretty good, but like get a receiver and a couple corners, and you're talking about a team with a good offensive coach that could make some noise next year, in my opinion. So I think the Bears are a decent place too. Tyler Jones says, I'm mad at Caldwell for never playing Zach Zenner. Why does Zach Zenner not play? Can some Lions fans please tell me why they don't play Zach Zenner? Considering Abdullah sucked. Riddick is not a go-to running back. You have this other bum that they're playing. Why isn't Zach Zenner playing considering his success last season? I want some Lions fans' input on that. Kevol says he's on the way and he's ready to make some noise. I'm interested to hear what he says about the Seattle Seahawks. Derek Milani says, who is buying the Panthers? Diddy, Cap, Lyle Thompson, all in. Maybe throw Brady in. LOL. Man, I would love to see Diddy be the owner. He says he's going to have the best halftime show, and whenever I saw that sold me. But I think, honestly, it's going to be up to Richardson who's selling it, and I don't think he's going to sell it to a guy like Diddy. I think he would probably just sell it to somebody that he has a better relationship with. And I honestly don't think the NFL would want Diddy to be the owner, even though he's a big fan of the Panthers. And he's a really rich guy, he's a smart business guy. I think that he already mentioned he wants to bring Kaepernick back, and I don't even think the NFL wants to deal with that. So I think that the Panthers are probably not going to Diddy, but it'll probably be somebody else. I don't know. Chad Ochocinco said he wanted to buy them, but he doesn't have the money. I don't know who's really up there for buying him. It would probably be some no-name guy that's going to buy the team. But I would like to see a personality buy the team. The NBA has a guy like Mark Cuban who's like a personality. I'd like to see like a Diddy own a team or something. That would be pretty fun. So Predator says Cap sucks. He would be a starting quarterback in this league. Tyler Jones says, get ready for the 49ers to upset the Jags. Man, if Jimmy G beats the Jags, this guy is going to win the Super Bowl like in 2 years. Even though he's already won 2 and he never even started a game. Sea chickens will be Robinated next week. Are you okay, Rob? I don't know if you answered my question. Who's your favorite team? Mark Cuban would be an awesome NFL owner, says Rob. He finished 2-13 in 2 years. They were awful. The 49ers were completely terrible. Rob says the 49ers. Interesting. Do you think that the 49ers are going to beat the Jags, Rob? All right. What's some other NFL news that's going on? Thomas Davis got suspended today. Two games for an illegal hit. I'm not sure if that's going to be put down to 1 game. My sense is that he is appealing it. I feel like it could be only a 1-game thing because that's what everything else has been. But what hit do you guys think was worse? Do you think the Thomas Davis hit was worse or the Gronk hit or the Juju hit? Rank from 1 to 3 what was the worst hit? Thomas Davis, Gronk, or Juju? Personally, I think the Gronk hit was probably the worst of them all, being a Patriots fan. But the thing about the Thomas Davis hit is that it happened after the Gronk hit, and it was head to head, like full on, full speed head to head. But the thing that irks me about the Gronk hit was that it was after the play, and they weren't playing football at that moment. And that's plays when they're not in action, in game action, piss me off the most. So that's why I have Gronk first. But I think that Thomas Davis is, in terms of an actual hit that could have hurt somebody, I think Thomas Davis was the worst. But in terms of a play that was just a dick move, Gronk's was the worst. By the way, I didn't like Juju's celebration of him mocking his hit. I didn't find that funny at all. Yvonne Hook says, who will win the NFC South? All right, let's go over this. Looking over the NFC South. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this. So we have the NFL playoff machine. ESPN. If you guys have never used the NFL playoff machine, just search it up on Google. It's by ESPN. It's a good tool to use. So going over this, the Panthers next week play the Tampa Bay Bucs. I would go with the Panthers. They're at home. The other game is the Saints versus the Falcons. I think the Saints are going to win that game at home. So in week 17, the games that would decide it, the Panthers play the Falcons. I think the Falcons will win that game at home in the last game of the season. They could easily lose, but I think that they'll probably win. I'll give them the edge because they're on their home field and they have to win and get in. And I don't think the Panthers will be putting in the effort to win that game, considering they'll already have a playoff spot. So I'm going to go with Atlanta. And then the other game is the Saints versus the Bucs. I'll say the Saints win. So that would mean that the Saints finish 12-4, the Panthers finish 11-5, and the Falcons finish 10-6. The Saints would play the Falcons in the first round. The Rams would play the Carolina Panthers. That's the answer to your question. And 10 Toes Down agrees with me. Is that like a play on words from 3 Doors Down, 10 Toes Down? I'm trying to figure that out. Okay, where is this Kevol guy? Kevol. Let's go. Where is ESPN? Okay, let's check out the other news. Any other questions you guys have? Zeke is going to be back this week. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing some sort of recap for the Seahawks game. It is on Christmas Eve, so it'll be difficult, but I'd like to do it like later, maybe even the day after or something. I'm not sure. But that's going to be a really good recap because it's going to be Dylan versus Kev. And there's going to be entertainment value in that. Chargers have a couple of injuries. Denzel Perryman and Corey Legit will not be playing against the Jets. So those are 2 injuries, as well as Hunter Henry is having issues as well. So if the Chargers are indeed going to slip into the playoffs, they need the Titans to lose one more time, but they also need to win their games, and they're kind of crumbling right now with those injuries. So Rob says, could do one big recap show on the 26th. That's probably a pretty good idea. 26th. So that would be Tuesday, right? Yeah, I think we could do that. Probably. They won't have the emotions of the post-game recap, but it will still be a fun recap, I think. Also, let's hit 4,000 subscribers, guys. Where are we in terms of subscribers? We are at 3,961. So let's get that done. Tell your friends, get the 39 subscribers. Also, I have an announcement. I announced it on my Twitter. Not sure if you guys saw it. But on Christmas, there's going to be a giant list on this channel. There's going to be the top 100 NFL players of all time. That is going to be released on Christmas. I've made it myself. And I'm going to be doing like a series of videos counting down the top 100 players of all time. And that will be released on Christmas as a big present to you guys. Top 100 players of all time. Yeah, Kevil, I don't know what he's doing. He's supposed to be on here right now. He's probably looking for that bridge, I think. He said he's on his way 10 minutes ago. So I don't know what that means. He's probably running or something. I'm already sub, says Tyler Jones. Rob wants to spend Christmas with your family. And if you guys have any like suggestions for videos that you want us to do, then make sure that you put in the comment section like of any video ever. If you ever have an idea for us to do, we'll write that, we'll jot it down, and we'll put it into contention for making a video. Dylan is always asking me what he's going to do for his topic video, and I'm always thinking of ideas of doing videos. So if you have a video idea, definitely get in that. There's Kevil. Kevil, did you find that bridge that you want to jump off of?
There.
Kevil.
No, there's no need for a bridge.
Oh,
I don't jump off a bridge. Hello?
Kev, you look very warm. Where are you right now?
I just got off work and stopped in at the local Tim Hortons. Thought I would chat with you. I didn't see the game tonight. I saw a couple of catches, saw a couple of plays, but
yeah,
I didn't even know.
It was a good game, actually. Jameis had his best game of the year. The Bucs, down to the wire, they missed the field goal to tie it. So it was a good game. Atlanta got the sneaky victory. So that doesn't really help the Seahawks very much. But what's your thoughts on the Seahawks right now? Any chance of going to the playoffs? What's your thoughts on the inner struggle between the players, Earl Thomas and Bobby Wagner? What's your thoughts on Pete? What's your thoughts on Russell Wilson and this team? What's going on with the Seahawks?
Well, okay. So I heard you guys talk a little bit yesterday about how a team can get with Jared Goff stats can win. Fumbles the ball in the first catch of the game. Rams get the ball at the 48, get a field goal.
Can I ask you a question, Kev?
Position. Why are they throwing to Tanner McAvoy?
Yes, that's my question.
I don't know why they would be throwing to Tanner McAvoy. I have no idea.
Okay.
But they threw to Tanner McAvoy. And then the next possession, the Rams got it at the 50. They actually had 4 possessions inside of the 50.
Kev's lagging. Timmy's Wi-Fi is not working out. Kev. 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 I think he was going to say that the Seahawks suck. I think that's what he was going to say. He's frozen now.
Yeah. Duffers, damn good.
Kev,
I'm here. I can hear you.
Go on audio.
Okay, well, I'm going to go on audio because you can't. And I'll just do that here. There we go. There you go. All better. Okay. 3rd and 20. 3rd and 20. Not only does he get 10 yards, not only does he get 20 yards, not only does he get 30 yards, not only does he get 40 yards, not only does he get 50 yards, he gets a touchdown. Incredible. And no one touched him. Not a single person touched him. And then
did they not touch him in the end zone? Gave him a high five?
You would have thought.
Okay.
In the end zone, he fumbled the ball. He was sacked 7 times. Coached him, ugly head coach, completely outcoached the team. It was a complete disaster on every level, unmitigated level. Even after the game, it became even worse. Do you realize that they actually 11 and Fournette got a first down? Do you realize that? We haven't talked about that much. This was on every single player. It's a complete disaster on all fronts. And I mean, Chris Richard should be on the hot seat. This defensive game plan was terrible. This front line, even Pete Carroll said it today. We've had trouble running the ball, and we've had trouble stopping the run, which has basically been the Seahawks' bread and butter.
Yeah.
I don't think Bevel and Cable will be back next year for certain. I think Pete Carroll needs to take some heat here on a number of different levels. He was completely outcoached. He was outsmarted. It was unbelievable. Bevel, you could have ran the ball actually. Couldn't do it. There was tension between Bevel and Wilson. There's tension between Bevel and Britt. That wasn't talked about much. But Earl was right. Bobby Wagner should not have played. And that's where I think Carroll needs to take some heat for this too. Completely, like if you're the Rams, you're putting a guy in that's of 60% because part of this team. He should have. He could have been there. Is he Wagner? No. But is Wagner at 60% Wagner? No. 40% Wagner? No. I think Earl was right. I don't know what else to say. I think Carroll needs some heat. John Schneider needs some heat. You draft a guy that got into an ATV accident. He's gotten arrested. You could have actually drafted Reuben Foster, replacement for Bobby Wagner in a game, in a situation like this. You didn't do it. Where they're one thing, this is the youth organization for real, and say we need to make some big changes. So this, in some ways, yeah, I was pissed off yesterday, but this might have been the best thing to happen to the Seahawks, because now they can look at this organization realistically and make the changes that they need. That's where I'm looking at it. And I don't know, I didn't hear you guys talk about the Rams, but they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They're the new sheriffs of the AFC West. Todd Gurley is in the MVP conversation. Okay, you guys said that. I think that the Rams are there.
Yeah, by the way.
You're a hipster, Mitch. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see who the Rams would. Vikings, Eagles. To me, we're down to 3 on each side: Steelers, Eagles, Steelers, Pats, Jags, Vikings, Eagles. I think those are the 6. They'll have to win that division for me to think that. They're still in the wild card spot.
They just beat the Vikings.
They did beat the Vikings. Yeah, that's true. That's true. They could be there. They could be a doctor.
I'm not saying I'm picking them or anything. I'm just putting them out there. Hello?
Yeah. So, I mean, you get 7 or 8.
You're killing
now. Just
Kev, you're lagging.
Like, I mean, can you hear me?
You're lagging really.
A little bit.
You're cutting.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, you're cutting out really bad.
Hang on here. Give me a second. But yeah, that's what I have to. That's it for that. To say about it, though, Mitch.
What do you think about? You didn't really touch on this. What do you think about the discipline of the team? Like,
what discipline?
Every time they lose, they try and kill someone after the game or like during the game. They try and punch people and shit.
It's uncool. It's poor. And I think that's where Carroll gets some heat. How do I word this? I understand where AC is coming from, and I partially agree with him, but I also partially on something. We're not in the locker room. This is the worst locker room in the league. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the locker room.
Stuff because he hates the Seahawks.
Might be fair, but can you imagine the 0-14 Cleveland Browns locker room right now? Place to be?
Don't give a crap.
Well, they probably, yeah. Is that a better locker room than what we're dealing with? A team that's trying to keep what they are
at a spot where they can't deal with not being good.
It's a transition time. It certainly is. And I think the offseason is going to be very interesting. I still think that defense is good. Needs some serious retooling. Man, I was trying to remember this guy's name, but one of the guys that nobody talks about who we're missing is the former running back coach. But when Lynch was here, and they're missing him, and I can't remember his name. That up, but he's a big team. Right, just drawing a blank here as I just got off work, but
what, Kevo? What's your thoughts on?
I think that this
what
in this show is this a player problem or is this a? Hang on, I got to switch here.
What are you switching to? Look at this guy.
My iPhone.
Okay.
Lag as much, but what are you thinking here?
A coach or a player problem? Discipline is a coach problem. Discipline is a discipline is a coach problem because it's what you implement your system to be. It's the system. It's the personality that you want your team to play as. It falls on your coach. It falls on the way that you want your team to be looked at. It's the same with, a Mike Tomlin team has a certain way of doing things. A Bill Belichick team has a certain way of doing things. An Andy Reid team has a certain way of doing things. A Pete Carroll team has a certain way of doing things. All these coaches have different systems and different ways of getting the best out of their players and different ways of operating. And it just so happens that Pete Carroll's it's a lot of trust in the player. It's a lot of fun, this, clap that, chew your gum. And yeah, everybody's the best and we're going to kill everybody. And yeah, so it's very it's very, I don't know what the word is. Very
sportsmanship.
Be yourself. It's like, okay, like Pete Carroll, like wants his players to be themselves and to put their personalities into the team. That's why you see these players like Bennett and Sherman and all these guys with the big personalities the Seahawks have, and they make this team and this defense a certain way. And it can be great, but it can also go absolutely sideways because of that.
Yeah, it's true. But at the same time, here we are talking about this defense. This offense did but nothing. This team, and there was an article season about how the offense has gotten that they've made mistakes for, and the defense held them in there for a real time, considering the position that they were put in. Nothing. Again, we're taking heat on this defense. A lot of frustration there. I mean, you'd have to, for me, if you're going to replace Carroll, I want it to be a guy like John Gruden.
Why is that?
Because I actually think that Gruden would put some accountability into this offense.
Yeah.
I also think, remember Tampa Bay? Remember Tampa Bay in 2002. One of the things that he said is, if this defense was as good as it thinks it was, you would score, 6 to 8 touchdowns themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Things that the Seahawks have lacked the last 2 or 3 years is the opportunity to create turnovers into touchdowns.
Not many defenses can do that.
Used to be able to do that.
Yeah, when they were great.
When they were great, yes. But I think that Tampa Bay defense was great, was good. Gruden, the onus on the defense was great on that defense to make it great. And Carroll's doing that right now. Would be a guy that can do that. He would come to Seattle. I think he probably will end up in Tampa Bay. Before would be a guy I would consider.
He went into the Ring of Honor tonight. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, he went into the Ring of Honor. He had a whole speech. They ran the play that they scored in the Super Bowl. All this stuff. It was pretty good. I wanted to ask you, Kev, what are your thoughts on the Patriots and Steeler game? What did you take away from that game? And also, what did you think of the catch, not catch?
Well played game by two teams, two excellent teams. So I think congratulations on that. Considering, too, that the Steelers lost Brown early in the game, ways to keep that offense going. Gronk was beast-like. He was outstanding. The game was outstanding. I know it feels to me like the media conspiracy of this a little bit, but it feels to me like the media kind of takes the Steelers side on this in a lot of ways.
They are, yeah.
And they're bitching and complaining about this. 2000, the AFC Championship game that year, Hines Ward got a touchdown that is still to this day very questionable if he ever crossed the end zone.
Which year? 2008?
Yes, I think was it that year? Yes, it was that year.
Versus the Ravens?
Won the Super Bowl. Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it's 2008.
Yeah. Sorry, it was 2010. And they're bitching and moaning that was a catch. Fine. Then the question is his knee did go down before the ball went in. So he would have been on the 1 yard line. So that wasn't okay. If you're going to say it was a catch, the question is it's a touchdown. So I actually don't think it was a catch. I think you can clearly see that he didn't catch it. Whether that's catch or not, where they have to look at that, probably that's what is a catch? That's a fair debate. After that, throws a 4-yarder to Hayward Bay. He fake spikes and throws it to the middle. I don't understand why he threw it in the middle. He probably should have threw a fade. But the bigger thing is you went to Chris Boswell to put the game, and they were much further out. You couldn't get your kicker out to overtime.
Well, they decided another play is what they decided.
They should. I think in the long run they should have kicked and taken this to overtime.
Okay, my thought
take it down to one.
My thought is that it all was on Ben, because Ben should have saw that there was 3 guys on his receiver and he should have thrown it right out of the end zone.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I do agree. He threw it to the wrong guy. He should have. Even Romo said, "Throw the fade, throw the fade, throw the fade, throw the fade," and he couldn't believe that. And it was funny because Brady actually on the 2-point conversion, Brady threw the fade.
A fade. Gronk throwing the guy to the side and then catching the ball.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of true too. Gronk down there, and yeah. Well, the question ultimately is, though, everyone hopes so.
What?
Step closer?
You're lagging again, Kev. You're lagging, Kev.
In New England, I don't think Pittsburgh can win. Oh, sorry, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I know that they're a very complete team, and I think Jacksonville will be competitive against New England if they face. But yeah, it was game of the year. It wasn't a catch. I'm sorry, I don't think it was a catch based on the rule. And great game, well played by two teams that ultimately, I think, Ben put his. This is where we critique Ben, AC. He put his legacy ahead of the team. and they put Ben's legacy ahead of the team. Because really, if you go to overtime, you have a shot to win.
No, but Kev, did you hear what Ben said after the game?
Call the spike.
He said that Haley told him to do it. Not him.
Oh, come on.
Yep. See, watch the interview. He did. He said it. You're going to hate Big Ben even more after you watch that.
Oh. Well, as Dylan said, though, it was pretty obvious what he was doing. I mean, it was so obvious he was fake spiking.
Yeah, it was.
Like
100% obvious. And the Patriots were standing there waiting for it.
Yeah. And you have to understand there's film study and...
You know why they knew that? Why they were going to do it? Because the Cowboys got caught with that exact same play the year before.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the Cowboys-Steelers game, but they ran the exact same play on the Cowboys, and that's why the Patriots knew that.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. That's why the Patriots knew that was coming.
He was even standing in a passer position. And the other thing that I heard just part of what you guys were talking about last night, and I do want to respond to what AC said. That
okay, what was AC? First off, I will say this. AC was drunk, so we can't take him completely serious. But second, what the hell is AC talking about? Did you hear the argument between me and him?
The part where he was saying that he'd rather have the fans are tired of the Patriots.
Yeah.
I don't see that necessarily. I think that the fans the fans wanted a good game. Steeler fans firmly believe that they're going to face the Patriots again.
Yeah.
I think Steeler fans firmly believe that they can beat the Patriots.
Yeah.
I think the Steeler fans are completely disrespectful, which is going to bite them in the ass. Because I think my point with Tennessee at the beginning of the year is I do believe a team that is tough and physical can railroad the Steelers.
I think the Jaguars are going to
I'm kind of sensing that too. And what do you do? Yeah. Anyway, I don't think people are tired of seeing the Patriots there. I think fans are just a really good football game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if fans really care if it's a Patriots. I don't know if arrogant fan, like that's such a generality about fan bases. Like Flames fans say Canuck fans are arrogant. Canuck fans say Flames fans are arrogant. People say the Leafs fans are arrogant. People are people. I arrogant and who's not. That's just
some fans of every team are arrogant.
Of course they are. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think. I think people want to see some really good football. I think quite honestly, I think both AFC and NFC were going to get some really good football with some really interesting possibilities a number of ways.
I don't think there's a team that we can clearly say is going to win the Super Bowl right now.
No, I don't think so either.
And I think last year, and at least for me, it was Patriots.
Yeah, I think generally it really an NFC. I mean, I think we were hoping for Brady versus Rodgers because that would have been fun.
Yeah.
An NFC team.
That probably would have ended up being a blowout, though. I think the Atlanta.
Quite possible.
I think the Atlanta game was obviously one of the greatest games ever, but yeah, I think that was the better matchup at the end of the day. The better team.
Yeah. But would love to one more, but what happens there. But I think we've 6 to 7 to 8 Super Bowl. Argue there are 5 Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. If you're going to put the Panthers in there, you'll have to put the Saints in there. I think
the Saints are. I think right now the Saints are number 2 for me, probably.
Who's number 1?
Vikings.
I think the Rams are better than the Saints.
You could argue that.
And I'm not saying that. I mean,
it's close between those two.
Yeah. Everyone's not enamored with Jared Goff, but he got the job done. He didn't have to pass, but there were open receivers all over the place in Seattle. That's not a terrible receiving core.
No.
I think it might be better than the Saints receiving core. The Saints can run, the Rams can run. I think the Eagles are intriguing because they do have a guy that.
I'll say it again. I think the Eagles are done.
Fair. Did AC just? I didn't hear.
AC 100% disagreed.
Oh, I got to hear that part of that argument.
Yeah, he was talking about how great Nick Foles was. And he was saying that if the Patriots can have excuses of how they lose to Miami, then the Eagles can have excuses for playing close games against the Giants. That was his point.
I have to hear that conversation.
Yes. Anyways, anything else to talk about?
Covers everything. I think it was quite a week. Quite a week. I think. Congratulations to you. I felt like it was a punch in the stomach, but we recovered, and on to next year.
Okay.
I kind of am counting them out. Am I counting them out? They're 50% out. Yeah, I think they're 50%.
They're done.
I'm 50. You know, I'm still going to pick them to beat the Cowboys. So to piss Dylan off.
Well, you should. Okay, let's get to comments. Coach says Kevil looking for a bridge after the Seahawks game.
No, I'm fine.
Predator says best rookies on each team this season. That's a video topic. I think you're saying. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm gonna write that down for you.
Shaq for the Seahawks for sure. Shaq Griffin.
Best rookies on each team. Done. Okay. Von Hook says Kev. Rob says, what up, Kev? Brian,
what up?
Boss Ryan said it's time to build around Winston next year. Mark my words. Rob says ground control to Major Tom. Donnell says Falcons rise up. Boss Brian says I'm in Cincinnati and from Cincinnati. Nice. Boss says Rams Jags Super Bowl. What do you think about that?
It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Would anyone on Gone Green Earth have said that in September?
Nope.
Okay. Boss Brian also says Cam, quite possibly the MVP if he finishes out the season good. He's been low-key rocking.
I think he has to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I think
he's Ben in the conversation.
Ben?
Yep.
Did you say Ben?
Yes.
I think after that game, no. Even though he played really well, that interception will stick in people's minds.
Yeah.
Can I say, should Gronk be in the conversation? Even though he's not going to win, but should he be in the conversation?
No, because he's missed some games. He hasn't played a full season, has he?
No. Predator says Kev is breaking up. Boss Brian says poor Philly. Tyler Jones says I think Tom Brady.
Dilly?
Huh?
Why are we poor Dilly? What did Dilly do wrong?
Poor Philly.
Oh.
Tyler Jones says I think Tom Brady is the MVP if he plays well the last two games. Yeah, if he gets, I was just looking at his numbers. If he gets like 34 touchdowns and like 8 interceptions and leads the league in yards like he has been, then I think he'll win it. I think he's
probably number one right now. But I think
it's a kind of
would be maybe Drew. Maybe
I don't think so. Drew Brees.
That's a good point.
Did you say Drew Brees?
No, I said Gurley.
Oh, I think Gurley because he's leading the league in touchdowns. He has 17 touchdowns. I don't think Brees will win it just because of Ingram and Kamara.
No.
Wilson's not going to win it. I don't think Brown's going to win it.
No. No, he's after.
You could argue Bell.
Yeah.
Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Who else? Cam. Who else is in there?
Rivers is out now, I think.
Did you still say Wentz?
What's that? Jalen Ramsey?
Defensive player of the year, maybe.
I think he should be that. I'll give him that. I think I will vote for him for that.
What about Wentz?
I don't think you can put him in there. You see?
So I think it's Brady.
I mean, Peterson maybe for coach of the year.
I think that's going to go to McVay.
Probably. Yeah, I would agree with you.
Okay, what else do we have here? Tyler Jones says, can the Panthers win on the road, though? They played badly versus the Saints on the road. They do not match up well with the Saints. I think that they can beat other, like, they could. That's just a matchup issue more than playing on the road. I think that they can have another good game with the Vikings. I think they can beat the Eagles. I think that they can beat the Falcons. I think that they can play the Rams tough. We haven't seen that game, but I think that would be a good game. So I think that they could rather play a really tight game against all these teams. I think the Saints are the worst team they could possibly play, and I don't think they'll play them unless they play them in the NFC Championship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a good. I got a message from
AC.
AC. I'm a popular guy to Kev. Can't say anything without saying my name. LOL. Man.
Get on here, AC. Come on.
Didn't know I took that much space in your head. I'm flattered. Aw. All I'm doing is responding to the things that you said on.
Yeah, we were talking about the discussion yesterday. It was a big discussion. I actually was talking to Dylan after yesterday's video. I will pay whoever makes this video. I will pay $100 to the person who makes a compilation video of all the arguments between me and Adam.
Oh.
It'll probably be like a 4-hour-long video, but if you make that, I'll give you $100. That'd be a great video. Tyler Joe. Okay, I already got that one. T. Clark says, wow, the NFC playoffs looking different this season. No Seahawks, no Cowboys. Imagine that picture. No Packers.
Yeah, no Packers. It's weird. It's a new era.
T. Clark says, wow, I heard you said that. Tyler Jones says, Panthers lost to the Bears on the road, but beat the Patriots at Foxborough. Training Solutions says, Saints organization or Seattle's organization needs to be fined in general. How do you feel about that?
Probably, but I think a 42-7 butt kicking is probably the best thing that's a punishment enough. And the problem here too is they don't have a lot to draft next year. They don't have a lot of draft picks. They usually do have a lot. They don't have the second-round pick because of Sheldon Richardson. I think they are without a third because of the Dwayne Brown trade. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be tough to recover, but we'll see.
What about Kareem Hunt for MVP?
I think he had too much in season to be put in an MVP conversation. Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I don't think that he could. I don't think you can put him in the MVP conversation.
Okay. Predator says he agrees discipline is a coaching issue. Training Solution also agrees. Tyler Jones says, at first I thought it was a catch, but now I think it clearly hit the ground and was not a catch. Stephon Gilmore sucks, he says. He definitely was not good yesterday, that's for sure.
Who wasn't? Sorry?
Stephon Gilmore. I thought he played bad in the first half, but in like the second half, I thought he was pretty good. Training Solution says, my team's defense is sucking. Tyler Jones.
Who's his team?
I I can't keep track of everybody's team. You guys have to always remind me who your team is, unless like unless you're here every single time and you always say what your team is, then I know. Or you have a logo. Like it would just be easier if your picture was the logo of the team you like. That would just be easier.
Yes.
Tyler Jones says Haley probably told Ben to say that. Interesting.
I don't think anyone tells Ben what to say. I think Ben just goes and be's Ben. Ben be Ben.
Tyler says AC was odd. He put a curse on the Pats. Did you see that?
Yeah. What do you? Yeah.
He went full Bray.
Yeah. Okay.
Started to put a curse on. Yeah.
Message of that. Yeah. AC, why did you Bray Wyatt the Pats?
Tyler Jones says, do you guys know what happened to Brian Hartline? He kind of dropped off a few years ago. He was good for like a season, and that's just how it happens sometimes in the NFL. One hit, one. Bobby says Lions still have a shot. Falcons can lose both games. Rob says Lions are DUN. You're missing the E. Trains says BLB. Would you say the Jags have the best defensive roster in the last 10 years? Roster-wise? Maybe
early 2000.
Maybe roster-wise. I don't think they're the best defense in the last 10 years, but that's a different question. Roster-wise, they might be the most stacked defense.
They have the most names, but I don't know if they were
They're not the best.
I think
they're in the top 5. I think it's probably Seahawks of 13, Broncos of 15. You have the Steelers of 08, and I think the Jags would be after them.
That their defense was good in 08. I will grant you that.
Those are probably the top defenses that I can think of the past like 10 years, because 10 years would be 2007. Yeah. Trying to think of any other defense. Yeah, Seahawks were good and for both those 13, 14 years, even 15, but not as good. Panthers were really good in 2015 too.
That was a good defense. The Ravens had a good defense their Super Bowl year.
Yeah.
Although I think that was out of complete and utter desperation.
But they third, fourth on that list for best defenses. But I think their roster might be the best. Like if you go player by player, maybe. Bobby says how
in the playoffs.
What?
They have to do something in the playoffs before we put them on any list.
Yeah, but if they break like the sack record and stuff, that kind of already puts them in there. I think they lead the league in points and turnovers, and they're leading Blake Bortles to the playoffs. I don't think any of those teams did that. So
I still think Bortles is better than Mariota, though. I'm going to say it. I think he is.
Maybe. I don't know. Bobby says Lions can easily win both remaining games. If Rodgers doesn't play, I'll say that for sure. Falcons have 2 tough games. I agree, Bobby. But who would get in if the Lions win both games and the Falcons lose both games and the Cowboys win both games? Would the Cowboys get in over the Lions?
I think it's dependent on conference record. It depends on tiebreaker. Because the Falcons beat the Cowboys this year. Would get in over the Cowboys.
Who beat the Cowboys?
Falcons did.
Yeah, I know that, but no.
They beat the Cowboys.
If the Falcons lose 2 games, which they'd have 7 losses.
And the Cowboys win both. Well, the Cowboys would be ahead, right? Wouldn't they?
Both. They'd be a game ahead. Both teams would be a game ahead. Falcons beat both teams, by the way. So both teams need them to lose twice. My point is, who would get in, Lions or Cowboys, if they were tied with the record? Do we know that?
Let
me put that in the
I don't
machine here. 16. Okay. So let's go. Where is the Cowboys and where are the Lions? Okay, week 17, Cowboys and where are the Lions? And Falcons need to lose both games.
So 9-5 would go to 9-7. Cowboys would get in because 10-6, right? And the Falcons would be 9-7. Lions again. Yeah, I would think so too because they are ahead in the standings. I think it goes by conference.
They both have the same conference record. They would both have the same conference record at 8-6. I think. Oh no, that's currently. Never mind.
Yeah, no. The Lions' conference record is 7-4. The Cowboys is 6-4. So the Packers are out. So what's left is Eagles, Vikings, Rams, Saints, Panthers, Falcons, Lions, Seahawks, Cowboys. And then Patriots, Steelers, Jags, Titans, Bills, Ravens, Chargers are still in there. Raiders, Dolphins, I guess, and then the Jets are gone. Bye.
Jets are gone. Bye.
Bye, Jets.
Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna do all the games and just see what happens here. Week 17, Steelers. Okay, yeah. According to the playoff machine, it would be Detroit at the 6th seed if all that happened. So the Cowboys,
yeah.
So the Cowboys need Atlanta to lose twice, them to win both games, and Detroit to lose a game. That's a lot.
Okay. And I think the Seahawks need to win out. And the Falcons have to lose out.
That's all I'm going to say.
Well, no. Okay, 10-6. Yeah, they lose. 10-6 gets them in. 10-6 gets you in the playoffs. That's the bottom line. So the Lions have to win. Seahawks have to win. The Cowboys have to win out in order to have a shot. Mm-hmm. And the Falcons have to lose. That's basically it. So the Seahawks and the Cowboys, the loser that game is basically out. And
yeah. So Atlanta, if they win next week, they clinch their spot.
Yeah, and then that's it.
Trading Solution says you should do a mock draft in the offseason. We definitely will be doing mock drafts in the offseason.
Yeah.
Coach says, what now? Hawks fighting within the team all over Twitter.
Yeah, that's dumb. He deleted it, but it was still dumb.
Coach says no Gronk, Cam, yes, for sure.
Yeah, I think Cam can be in there.
Fitty Trent says, look at that. Mitch is back home. My name is Fitty Trent. I like the BC Lions and the Green Bay Packers.
Fitty Trent on the BLV NHL guy.
Legend,
BLV. Yeah.
Training Solution says my team is the Eagles. Okay, yeah. Rob says NFL should have targeting subject to video review for DQ next season. What does that mean? Targeting subject to video review for DQ next season. NFL should have disciplinary hearings for illegal hits. I think they already have that, don't they?
Yes, they already do.
For illegal hits?
Yeah. I do want to propose. I don't know how. I was also thinking about something else. I know that there's a concussion protocol. I do think that the NFL has to look at it, some sort of other injury protocol. And I based that on yesterday's game because there's got to be a point where you say to this guy, look, you can't play. I'm sorry. You are wrecking your career. You cannot play. I think that at some point someone has to, if you're going to do this concussions, I think other parts of your body have to be in this too. I don't know exactly how it works. think that something like that has to come up.
Yeah. Training Solutions says, I think the Jags have one of the best cornerback duos ever.
Win me a Super Bowl and we'll talk.
I think just be successful for the next 5 years. Now we'll talk. Anybody know who's in the bottom line fantasy championship?
What's that?
Anybody know who's in the bottom line view fantasy championship, says Tyler.
It is AC, and it is. I don't think it's me.
Whoever's playing AC, let's go.
It is Money Train versus AC, as the Money Train defeated me 105-90.
Ouch.
Very hurt. No question. Yeah. Yeah. That's what killed me. But good luck to both of you. Congratulations.
Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Bucs, Week 15 Monday Night Football recap and NFL discussion with the great Kevol about the Seahawks, the Pats and Steelers, and the NFL playoffs. Look out for Dilly Vanilli's upcoming video. He is going to be discussing, as far as I know, the scenarios regarding the playoffs, who he thinks is going to make it. That's going to be his topic video. And then look out on Christmas. The big project will be finished. It will be the top 100 NFL players of all time up on Christmas. Check that out. Thanks, guys. I'll have some videos out this week as well. And we'll see what I have tomorrow. Might do something for tomorrow. We'll see. And go subscribe to the NHL Bottom Line View. I was on there today talking about the Penguins in their trade rumors, the Lightning. We were talking about the Islanders, a bunch of NHL stuff, Devils, a bunch of NHL trade rumor talk. And tomorrow, actually, I'll be on there as well with Kevol. We're going to talk about Flames, Canucks. We're going to talk about the Ottawa Senators. So look out for that channel as well. The link is in the description. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, the links are in the description as well. Give us a follow there, where we are highly active talking about sports and other things of our interest.
Yes.
Kevol, any plugs for you, Kevol?
Yeah, tomorrow I think we're gonna recap the Habs Canucks game, and we're gonna talk about how the Canucks are gonna survive with all of these injuries. I don't know if we're gonna talk about Ottawa tomorrow, but we are gonna talk about Ottawa at some point because that's a big project. We're also gonna talk about the late great Zarley Zalapsky, one of the greatest names in NHL history, and we'll have to the trade rumor part. We're also going to look at the top 25 that TSN put out, who's in, who should not be in. But we'll talk about that and more.
Peace.
Peace.